2 weeks have passed since Israel began its indiscriminate assault on Gaza. The siege, which is being widely condemned by progressive sections across the world, has caused incalculable destruction in the enclave. Gaza has been under a land, air, and sea blockade imposed by Israel since 2006 and is the most densely populated area in the world with a population of over 2 million. According to the Palestinian Ministry of Health, more than 5,700 people have already been killed by Israeli forces and over 15,000 have been injured since October 7th. Of the 5,700 murdered, over 2,000 are children. Over 1 million people have been displaced within the Gaza Strip in the last 2 weeks. From Sunday, October 22nd to Tuesday, October 24th, more than 1,000 people were killed in what has been described as the most intensive bombing of the besieged Palestinian territory since October 7th. While the world cries out in horror, Israel has doubled down on its bombing and violent rhetoric.
This morning, when he started his speech at the Security Council by saying that Hamas attacks did not happen in a vacuum, this is really something that every decent person, it should be unfathomable for each and every one of us. Mr. Secretary General, the UN was established to prevent atrocities, to prevent such atrocities like the barbaric atrocities that Hamas committed. But the UN is failing.
What led to this escalation? On October 7th, Palestinian resistance groups broke the nearly 20-year siege of Gaza. The surprise attack, Operation Al-Aqsa Flood, is the biggest attack launched by Palestinian resistance forces in years. It is also reported to be the first time ever that Gazan fighters were able to conduct an armed operation into Israel on such a massive scale. Hamas leaders have stated that the attacks were in response to an escalation of Israeli atrocities against Palestinians in both the occupied West Bank and the Gaza Strip. Israeli violence and oppression against Palestinians had been on the rise, with deadly raids happening more and more frequently. Before the recent attacks, Israeli forces had already killed 224 Palestinians this year, including 38 children. Out of this total, 187 were killed in the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem, and 37 in Gaza. This number had already exceeded the previous record of 178 killings in all of 2022. Moreover, before this round of bombing began, some 1,200 Palestinians were being held in an administrative detention without charge or trial, of a total 5,000 being held in Israeli prisons. Since October 7th, the number of Palestinian political prisoners has doubled to 10,000, according to prisoner rights groups. How has the world reacted to the Israeli atrocities? Like never before, massive demonstrations have been held across the world in solidarity with the Palestinian people. Progressive sections from both Global North and Global South countries have taken to the streets in support of Palestine, sometimes in defiance of police violence. In cities across the US, Israel's major political and military ally, people have taken to the streets to demand a cessation of Israeli hostilities and the ending of all US aid.
I have some questions for Mr. President Biden. Is it not sheer evil to deprive 2 million people of water, food, electricity while they're being showered with bombs? Is it not sheer evil to destroy hundreds of thousands of houses and displace 500,000 people in only a few days?
Shame!
Is it not sheer evil to bomb a hospital, more than one hospital, with white phosphorus? Biden has nothing but lies to say because the sheer evil lies in his pockets. All of these actions, all of the Israeli war crimes are paid by him and his White House.
In cities across the African continent and Latin America, people demanded their governments cut ties with Israel and kick out its diplomatic staff. How have political elites reacted to the situation? The majority of EU member states, EU spokespersons themselves, Canada and the US, have expressed full support of Israel.
Hamas and Putin represent different threats, but they share this in common. They both want to completely annihilate a neighboring democracy, completely annihilate it. Hamas' stated purpose for existing is the destruction of the state of Israel and the murder of Jewish people. Hamas does not represent the Palestinian people. Hamas uses Palestinian civilians as human shields, and innocent Palestinian families are suffering greatly because of that.
In the face of this unspeakable tragedy, there's only one possible response. Europe stands with Israel. And Israel has the right to defend itself. In fact, it has the duty to defend its people. And we must call by their name the atrocities committed by Hamas. This is terrorism. This is an act of war. Nothing can justify what Hamas did. This is the time to stand in solidarity with Israel and its people.
By extending support to Israel, they have outrightly given a free rein to escalate an already genocidal war. Major opinion polls also suggest that a majority of the world's population demands a ceasefire and de-escalation in Gaza.